live. Welcome. My name is Shannon Ashleah, and we are here for an artist talk with Alex Martin of the Alex Martin Quintet. Alex will be performing with his quintet this weekend, Saturday night, 7 p.m. I'm going to quickly read Alex's bio and then we'll get started. Born in Brittany, the Celtic region of Western France, raised mostly in rural North Carolina, and a traveler through Latin America, now living in Prince George's County, Maryland, Alex seeks to create music that expresses his unique confluence of world cultures, a personal crossroads of the exotic and the familiar that he calls New World Jazz. He is a graduate from University of Texas at Austin, who now views his music as his primary medium of storytelling. He has just released his third CD, Folk Songs, Jazz Journeys, an exploration of musical traditions that have shaped him. He is accompanied on this pilgrimage by 12 musical collaborators, including 3 vocalists and master instrumentalists on balafon, tabla, cello, northeastern Brazilian triangle, and trumpet. I'm not sure if I got those instrument names right, but I'm sure Alex is going to help me out, and we are going to let him in right now.
Can you see me? You see me, hear me all right?
I can see you and hear you really well. Welcome.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. I have my guitar, so I can demonstrate some things maybe. So
That would be such a treat. And I was kind of hoping that you would do that. I don't know if we've ever had a little live action on our artist talk, but this would be an amazing opportunity for that. So thank you for bringing your guitar. I am having a little bit of connective issues, so just let me know if I cut out. I can, repeat. I'm kind of in the country right now. I'm at home in Atlanta, so we're rocking it out from here.
yeah.
But we're really happy to have you, and I want to go ahead and jump in. So, like I just read in your bio, I think it's really interesting that you were born in France and you grew up in North Carolina. So, I just wanted to know how those origins influenced your music.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I tend to say now that more that I was born in Brittany rather than France. So I have to educate folks a little bit about what that means. I have a little audio. Not sure if you can see this.
Yes.
But here is France, and the part I've circled, that's Brittany.
Okay.
It's the part that sticks out like a fist, like into the Atlantic, and you saw that Great Britain and is above it, over the English Channel. So I tend to say that I'm from Brittany because that's where I was born, and that's where my mom lives now. And even one of the musicians on the CD, there's one tune that's a Breton dance number called La Vie. We'll play that on Saturday. And on the CD anyway, I have an old friend of mine, Gaby Kermancouf, who actually recorded his part in a little studio in Brittany.
Wow.
And then we mixed that in. So that's a Breton dance that comes into. On my second CD, I also had a traditional Breton melody, my sort of jazz arrangement of it. So yeah, Brittany is kind of also the country, sort of relative to cosmopolitan places like Washington or New York or Paris, and in fact, traditionally, people in France and in Paris tended to look down on Bretons a little bit, sort of the way that sort of France is West Virginia in a way. And even the French word for redneck is it comes from a Breton word meaning parish, which is in a lot of place names. So French people heard that word a lot. Plouc, Plouc, plouc. And plouc, when a French person says that, it's not flattering, and it comes from a Breton word, and it was traditionally referred to Breton peasants. And that's where a lot of my family comes from on my mother's side. And then on my father's side, my father lived a lot of his life in Appalachia. Um, and so I experienced that as well as Piedmont, North Carolina, and I just came to see realize that there was something in common in that experience. And then even geologically, it's really interesting, just to me anyway. Lately, when I was visiting my mom in France, and we were walking in the woods, realized that a lot of the rocks and the plants, the fauna, and not maybe some of the fauna, but certainly the flora there is similar. And why is that? It's because, millions of years ago, those two, they were connected in, the Pangea days, kind of like West Africa and Northeast Brazil. If you look at them on the map, they fit together.
Right.
And that's also something I explore in this CD. That I'm interested in the West African and Brazilian music where they come together, because Northeast Brazil is the most African part of Brazil. So anyway, that experience of being in these two places where traditional rural culture is so important, that influenced my music. I've in my first couple of records, they were very Brazilian, bossa nova, samba kind of stuff. And I realized in this recent record, I kind of wanted to go back more to where I come from. So I come from different places, and this CD expresses that.
You went back to your roots.
My roots, which are basically, I'm this kind of a country boy from, with a barefoot on both sides of the Atlantic, kind of.
I think that is so amazing. And not only do you see, as you travel, you see the similarities between the terrain and just, everything like that. You also kind of see that music is a universal language and there are similarities in cultures. Can you talk a little bit more about your travels as it pertains to music? And I know you also spend a lot of time studying the music of Brazil. So if you could talk about that, we would love to hear.
Okay. Yeah. So I have sort of a general and a more technical way of answering or responding to that. And maybe the technical way I can demonstrate on the instrument here. But generally speaking, I think a lot about, so my father, I grew up with my mom in North Carolina. My mom, who was a French or a Breton woman, and in North Carolina, out in the country in farmhouses there, my dad was writing poetry in a cabin that he built in the Southwest Virginia. And he had a good friend. He got to know the local people there really well. And he had a good friend who was this sage of the mountains. His name was Hugh Lee Breedlove. And one thing that Hugh Lee used to say was that mountain people from Appalachia and from Japan or from Kilimanjaro are more similar than a mountain person and somebody in the Piedmont 100 miles away, or even an hour's drive away, because they just have a similar way of looking at the world. And I think musicians are the same way, that it's easier for us to cross cultural boundaries in many ways than it is maybe for other people. And I think you're a dancer, right? You probably experienced that through dance as well. So that's the more you travel, if you have that sort of mindset, the more you see connections. But just sort of technically for this particular record, there's one thing that kept coming up for me is this rhythm that it's a simple rhythm, and I'm pretty sure it comes from West Africa because you hear it in a lot of West African music. One of the people that I'll be playing with on Saturday is Wassouf Gay, who is a Senegalese American and mixes in his own music, mixes hip hop with Mandingo music, and he plays traditional African instruments. He'll be playing African percussion in my group. But so we do a tune of mine that has a rhythm like this. So that's like, if from a musical point of view, we talk about that as like a dotted quarter note and an eighth note. Bump, 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 bump. So that's there. But then northeastern Brazilian music. Yeah, that same bump, bump, dum, dum, it's there, and with do a little bit of New Orleans second line also. There it's a little bit more elaborate, but it's let's see. So there are a couple of extra notes there, but it's still that bum dum 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 bum bum dum dum. So it's anyway. I could talk about other things like melodically with pentatonic scales that are all over the world and in the different kinds of music that I play. But that particular rhythmic thing I kept finding in all these songs that I arranged or composed for the CD. So yeah, things come together.
It's a melting pot. It's a language that a lot of cultures speak, and we kind of don't realize it. And I think that when you, like you said, as a dancer, there are so many similarities between, like when I do hip hop dance and when I do contemporary dance and when I do jazz dance, there are elements that kind of cross over in each style. So I think that's really cool. And thank you for that musical demonstration. I actually really appreciated that because it puts it into perspective.
Yeah. Well, folks will hear that if they come out on Saturday. And they'll hear it with a lot of other great musicians besides me. In addition to the 5 members of the quintet, which is me, and then Eileen Melgarejo, a wonderful vocalist who is known around here for singing Brazilian music. She's actually she's half Peruvian, half Irish, grew up in Sweden, and is completely fluent in Portuguese, Spanish. She also sings in French.
Wow.
But, so that's Eileen. She's known also for her work with Thievery Corporation, which is a lot of folks know that group from about 10 years ago. And then I'll have Wassouf, whom I've already mentioned, Wassouf Gay on African percussion. I'll have Ethan Foote on acoustic bass, and then Keith Butler Jr., who he's the only other musician who is on every track on the CD, and he kind of really brought it all together. He has this wonderful way of creating these sort of landscapes in the way he plays the drums that behind the music. Those are the 5 members of the quintet. Then we'll have a couple of guests as well, including Deepak Shenoy, who will play tabla on a couple of tunes as he did on the CD. And then Jody Beater, who is this terrific cellist, was part of a group called Zen for Primates that some people have may have heard of. she's done a lot of other things, and she will play on a Scottish tune that I've arranged. Those are the folks I'll be playing with, and they help me kind of make these journeys between musical cultures.
That's amazing. Wonderful description. I feel as though you're going to go on this journey around the world if you come to the show on Saturday. So please don't miss it. We're going to get back to the show, but I have a couple more questions for Alex.
Okay.
I want to know, so you've dubbed your style of jazz New World Jazz. Can you just elaborate a little bit about how you came up with that and what it really means?
Yeah. Okay. So New World Jazz is I did come up with that for myself, but I don't think I invented it. I mean, I've seen hashtags for it for New World Jazz, so other people have thought of that too. But it's something I came up with in 2007 when I did my first CD. I just decided that was going to be the name of my, musicians or composers. They have their little publishing company name, and so I called mine New World Jazz. So if you look at my the titles of my compositions in parentheses, they'll have Alex Martin New World Jazz. But my relationship with that term is evolving, as because I started with it because I was really fascinated with the idea of the New World, having been a person who came to this continent, who wasn't born here but came here, and it's a new place. It's a place where some of the old rules don't necessarily apply, and the idea anyway is that we can do new things without being constrained by the old rules. But then New World, obviously, as I came to, the more I read and think and talk with people, just understand that this is not the New World. There's nothing new about this place. My wife has ancestry from people who've been here for thousands of years, as a lot of Mexican Americans do. The New World was created, what we think of as the New World, that exploration, conquest, and accumulation of capital and everything that came at the cost of a lot of human suffering in terms of enslavement, genocide, and just estrangement of people from each other. So now when I say New World Jazz, I put the rabbit ears around it, because of I'm aware of of the baggage that the term has, but I also feel like there's something worth saving in the idea of the Americas as a place where new things can be created, where we don't have to necessarily follow old strictures about who we can associate with, what we can create, so I still have some affection for the term, even though I'm aware of the complexities involved, and I obviously have a thing for some traditions as well. So it's kind of I'm an internal contradiction. So.
Well, I find New World Jazz to be more of a hopeful term, because, like you said, we hope that things can always be new on this continent. We hope that some of the old that we don't want to keep can be thrown out, and there always are opportunities for new ways of thinking, new music, and I really appreciate that. I feel that it's a hopeful term, so I'm gonna support you on that because I like the way it sounds.
Yeah, well, that's the way I hope people will take it. Yeah.
Well, I took it that way. And I just want to thank you for just elaborating and explaining so well, even on the guitar, just what your music is about. I want to give you an opportunity to let people know where they can hear your CD after Saturday.
Okay, thanks. Well, So I've taken a bit of a plunge with this CD. Hired an agent who is doing the doing press and radio promotion for it, and we've had some success. There are different radio lists out there of or charts, but on one of them, which is the North American College and Community Radio Station chart, I think WPFW in DC would be considered part of that. It's like 200 stations in the U.S. and Canada. Anyway, the first week that Folk Songs Jazz Journeys was on that, which was June 14th, it was the number one. It was on the there's a top 50 jazz ads list, and it was tied for number one on that. And then there's a top 50 world music chart, and it was number three on that. So, and then there are other charts, like there's a chart, Roots Music Report, which it was number 27 a couple of weeks ago. Now then it was number 20, and now it's number 17. So it's moving up in the right direction. So I'm getting some airplay for it. I think partly because this music can fit in both the jazz category and another term I need to put in quotes, which is world music. So there are world music shows, Latin music shows, and jazz shows that it's appearing on. So you can hear it there, and you can call up your favorite college or community radio station when they have a jazz or world show, and you can say, hey, there's this great new CD. Can you play some of it? Or I'm on Spotify, Pandora, Deezer, Apple Music, Amazon. So your streaming services, you can hear it there. Or you can go to www.alexmartinmusic.com, and you can ask me to send you one, and I'll do that. So if you still have a CD player, fewer and fewer people do. But we're working also on getting more concert venue shows for this. We're really grateful to be playing at Joe's for this. I mean, that Joe's has been keeping live music going through the pandemic, and now coming out of it through the onstage series is just is a tremendous gift to the community. So I appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you. Your music is a gift to us. As we know, it's been a pretty rough year, and music is healing, and being around people and enjoying music is also healing, but we also want to keep it safe, which is why it's an outdoor series. So I just want to thank you so much, Alex, for joining me today. I really think that you all would be missing out on an amazing opportunity to hear some great sounds if you do not get these tickets. Saturday, 7 p.m., outdoors at Joe's, the Alex Martin Quintet. I've also put his website in the chat, as well as a radio station you can hear his music. He's also on all the streaming platforms, like he just said. And don't miss this opportunity, you all. It's going to be great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, take care. See you Saturday.
Take care. I'll see you Saturday.